Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 16th of June and I am like not ready at all. So you have to give me a second here. I'm having network issues. Not with my computer's connection, but with the Wi-Fi, and the one of the lights runs off of the Wi-Fi, and so it's not working. So I was trying to fix it. I got it on. It's still not working correctly. Anyways, also, as you can see, we're like moving things around behind me, right? So, yeah, it's a big mess. All right, everything's loading up here. Well, if that's going, I'll see if it'll let me add the key light now. Dun, 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 dun. See if it finds it. No, I have to reset it again probably. All right, so we got things going on. It looks like we're quite a bit lower here. The market is on to what's going on here, in the treasuries at least. And I see that since I've woken up, the E-mini is pushing up again. Man, what a move. This whole situation. So I have to say, I'm a little concerned about what is going on in the markets right now, because it seems to me that there's a concerted effort here to juice the markets. So let me explain here. We had this down move, and then this move was really bad. This was Friday. And then on Monday, they came out. I would have expected Monday to be like a recovery, and 30-30 was kind of the target. But then they extended well above that, off of news that the Federal Reserve is going to be buying bonds, which is news that I thought was incredibly weird because we already knew that they were going to directly buy bonds. At least that was my understanding. Apparently they're like expanding it, but it was confusing to me that happened. But that was long after we were trading. And then in the overnight session, there is now a news story that the Trump administration is floating a stimulus package. Well, we always knew that there was going to be stimulus, but not that there was going to be an infrastructure stimulus. So maybe that's changing things. So now we got this market is going up. Now we're not back to the 3,200, but to move, you know what? 100 points or whatever, over 100 points. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy, guys. So actually it's 200 points. Markets, that's not normal. And when I come back over here on like the daily ES, okay. So like, let's draw some scenarios out. Where's my little thingy? Where's my little thingy? Oh, well, I'll open up a new one. I know it was up here. Oh, it's right there. This is right in front of my face. Over here. Okay. So if we draw some scenarios, if this goes like this, that's incredibly weird. Like that kind of a move on daily chart to just completely cancel out. I'm not sure I can think of an instance where that was good. That would be like this. There's nowhere I can I I've never seen it do that. Maybe this one right here, but even then it had to build a base before it went back up. Okay, so for it to just like completely careen out of here would be weird. We probably left a vacuum below us so we could get sucked back down, but they're buying it this morning. I don't know if there's any news driving them. I don't know. China military urges India to return to dialogue in order to resolve dispute because they're still arguing over this border. Trader, the Fed's actions smack of desperation, says Zero Hedge. And yeah, this is what I'm getting into is like, okay, we're at 3,000. Above 3,000 is really good. Like, remember that a lot of people thought that this was crazy. Okay, a lot of people thought that this was unjustified. Okay, so to have had a pandemic and then come down and still be here is like crazy, 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 crazy. Okay, and for us to be here and the Federal Reserve doing things to basically pump the market is very concerning to me. They're afraid to let it even drop 100 points when we're already like within striking distance of all-time highs. It smacks like the Zero Hedge story says. It smacks of desperation. The whole thing just doesn't make sense to me. Why? Why do you need to do that? I don't get it. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. In terms of flows, though, I think that these Fed actions could create some opportunities in bonds. They're definitely selling them down. That's what I think is going on. Is I think that the market is pushing the bonds down on them, because people are going to be trying to hedge more corporate bond offerings. Now, it's going to be interesting if we put enough pressure on the treasuries and they move down. But I'm going to be watching this 10-year very, very closely. And I want to see what kind of move up. Oh, also, retail sales. Okay, so this is coming up here in 10 seconds. Retail sales, month over month, we're looking for a reading of 8%. 5 seconds. And then X autos, we're looking for 5.4. These numbers might be good, so yeah, there you go. The E-mini seemed to like it. The treasuries moved down significantly. Wow. Retail sales month over month 17.7 and X autos 12.4 versus 5.4. So blowout number. Blowout retail sales number. That you just, we can find a spot right there. I guess I need to come back in here. We don't really have like significant resistance above us or a real magnet until 3200. And oh, there's a little spot at 3151. So 3151 is I think where I want to take this. Well, we'll see. My spot was okay. Look at the treasuries getting killed. Getting killed. I'm gonna add another one right there. Maybe we will. Hopefully this doesn't fall apart on me. Probably a lot of this was front run for sure. No, no. Well, shouldn't have done that one. Hmm. Well, I don't know. It's not acting normal, is it? That's the one that I would expect to continue, but perhaps they already front ran it a lot. Okay, stop run there.
Sunday Driver says, with the Fed buying individual corporate bonds, why don't we just give up the pretense that we are a free market economy?
Well, I don't know if them buying individual corporate bonds really makes us not a free economy anymore. If they were buying stocks, then I would be upset. Them buying bonds is troublesome, but not the end of the world. And remember that we knew they were going to do this. I think that the news yesterday kind of said that they were going to expand it more than thought, but they've been saying that they were going to buy individual bonds from the beginning. They didn't just say that it was going to be ETFs. They basically confirmed that the program is going to do what they said it was going to do, but they still haven't bought anything, which I think is funny. Yeah, I think that story yesterday might have just been, I don't know, maybe it was just a coincidence that that's when they put the press release out, but I almost kind of wonder if they put it out there to kind of stall this fall back down. They must be thinking, man, these companies are in really dire straits, and if the S&P 500 were to go back to XXX, then these companies would be in real trouble, and so we can't allow that to happen. Like they seem desperate to me to keep this up. Well, now they go. See, they playing with me. They're messing around with it quite a bit. And then the funny thing is that in the meantime, China and North Korea are getting doing the warmonger thing.
Sunday Driver says, is there no red line this Fed won't cross? Isn't their actions, by removing all risk, almost the same as buying equities?
I don't know if it removes all risk. I mean, the thing is do you want companies that were otherwise healthy to fall? One of the things that bothers me is this talk about zombie companies. It's like, okay, like a zombie company is bad, but not all of these companies that are going to be having their bonds bought by the Federal Reserve are going to be zombie companies. A lot of these companies were good, healthy businesses, and then are just having trouble dealing with a once in a century event. You know, now look at her go. That this is a crazy number. The market was expecting it to be good because there was some stuff from like digital transactions and other numbers that we can see that were saying that there was actually pretty good buying in the past month. But this is way more than anybody expected. Double the number that we were expecting on retail sales. That's pretty impressive. I think the issue that we continue to have and that I continue to see is that the short-term flows contradict the longer-term fundamentals, right? Or the valuations, let's say. Like when I look at everything that's affecting the markets right now, there is no reason to sell this. Absolutely no reason to sell this. Donald Trump tweeting about it now. Retail sales show the biggest 1 month increase of all time, up 17.7%, far bigger than projected. Looks like a big day for the stock market and jobs. Don't jinx it. Damn it, Donnie. I kind of wonder though. Like, so here's the other thing: is how much is Powell and Trump talking? Because it looks to me like the Federal Reserve is like freaking out, and it looks to me like the administration is freaking out. They are very much like pump the economy no matter what. And is this all just about Donald Trump being elected? I guess, but like if it is, I have to say like they should cool their jets. Like the pullback that we got later in the week is just like a thing that happens when you have such a big move up and the auction below you wasn't very well done. You're gonna expect those sorts of things, and if the 2 day pullback like that really it concerns you that much and trips you up, like man, come on. I would hope that our leaders would have a little bit stronger of a stomach than that, especially Mr. Powell. It's kind of weird. Well, normally I would take it off with something off there, but I think I can probably just kind of let this ride with us with a trailing stop. So that's what I'm going to do.
Uzi Knesset says Donnie hitting us with the retail trader jinx haha. RJ Wheel says it's about re-election.
Sunday Driver says no matter how you look at it, 2021 is going to absolutely stink for investments. You can get rich on the dislocation that is coming after the election.
Totally. I don't think that the stock market has to go into another bear market or anything, but asset prices are going to go flat. This is what's going to happen is all of these day traders are going to get in right now and they think, just buy the dip all the time. Cool. And then the market is going to go in a range bound mode and they're going to get destroyed. That's what happens. I've seen it before. Never on this scale though. But that's what I expect to happen. For us to be up this big before the market opens is a little crazy. All right.
RJ Wheel says the Robin Hoods.
Can you believe that my stop is now where my original stop was? Is okay. So if we happen to come back into my entry,
Gary Rich says once the VIX drops into 20 handles, the irrationality of percent moves is sucked out.
so explain that a little bit more, Gary, because I've kind of been wondering about the drop in the VIX yesterday. The drop of the VIX was so severe that I wasn't sure what to think of it, because I'm like, well, yeah, we could still have like a big up day tomorrow and then like a big down day the day after. I think that the context now is a little bit different now that there's stimulus and the retail sales were good, and unless like North Korea like shoots a nuclear bomb or something, which frankly the way they're talking is a possibility at this point. But I digress. I'm kind of sitting here going, now, like, does the VIX really make sense? Patrick Rooney asks, do we believe the retail sales number? Well, the market seems to have known it was coming.
RJ Wheel says North Korea just blew up a building on the border.
Yeah, they blew up a building on the border. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell?
Sunday Driver says it's believable. Everyone was shut down and then could start getting out again.
Gary Rich says the BIS paper spelled out what the CBs were gonna do. The announcement of buying by the Fed rotated the indices.
Announcement of buying by the Fed rotated the indices. Yeah. But again, going back to that, the thing that confuses me is that press release that came out about noon Eastern time that really kind of pushed the market up about the Federal Reserve is going to continue, or is going to buy corporate bonds directly, and all this was old news. They said in the beginning that they were going to buy bonds directly. That one has me so confused.
RJ Wheel says you always have to think, is this event a Prince Ferdinand in Sarajevo moment?
These days, you kind of will have to wonder. You know what, though? Something that I've been thinking about lately is, because when I was looking at my feed yesterday, man, nobody was happy, man. Nobody is happy. None of my friends are happy at all. I think that the left is really unhappy. And I kind of feel like that this is psyops. Like, there just seems to be like this constant push in media to kind of keep you down. And the biggest antidote for that is positive, is to like share what are the positive things that are happening in your life. What are the positive things that we're doing and stuff like that? Because it's a little crazy. And you have to think about, everything looks so bad. The Federal Reserve looks panicked.
Gary Rich
And then you
says
get
once we
these
get
retail
over this
sales
temporary
numbers.
sugar high of CBN fiscal stimmy, we can get to rationality. Until then, not gonna fight the tape and expect turns with rotations.
Yeah. I mean, how can you sell? How can you sell on this? Like think about the setup. The Federal Reserve came in, we're going to buy bonds. Oh, we're going to do some infrastructure stimulus. Oh, and by the way, retail sales were just double what they were expected. Right? You don't ask questions, you just buy that one. But then if the retail sales are that good, why are they worrying about retail sales and all of this other stuff? Things are either much worse under the surface than what they're telling us, or these guys are just weak hands. You know what I mean? You get what I mean by weak hands? Like all they have to do is just sit there and be like, "Oh, they'll figure it out," right? They couldn't have. They didn't need to do anything. All this stimulus back, this would have pushed the markets back up. I don't. What's the deal?
Gary Rich says trying to short long term is like getting the alien creature stuck to your face. Ouch and yikes.
Sunday Driver says truth is the Feds always smudge reality. Inflation has always been understated. Employment has always been overstated.
They're not smudging reality. They're in denial. This is, again, one of those instances where you have to think about what kind of cognitive biases are certain players likely to have. The Federal Reserve doesn't want to believe that the action that they're doing is actually causing deflation. They don't want to believe that there's limits to how much their monetary policy can balance markets out. They don't want to believe that. So they continue to keep interest rates low and everything, and you just have deflation. Which wouldn't be so bad if we didn't have the debt burden. You know what? If there wasn't the debt burden, then hey, this would be great. Small but steady gains all the time. Market only goes up. I don't know.
Sunday Driver says as long as the USD is the reserve, they can do what they want. That, so far, has been proven.
You know, I think that these bond yields are concerning. I think that's going to be the thing that's kind of, they can screw them over. Is like the problem that they have right now is that the bonds can come down, the interest rate can raise on them so much that those companies that would want to be doing bond offerings are going to be thinking, well, I can't do it at an interest rate of X. I think that if you really hated the Federal Reserve and you wanted to screw them over, I would be selling the Treasury right now, because all of those companies are going to have to come out and hedge themselves against it. And the equity market moving up certainly pushes the bonds down as well with the equity correlation. So I would be selling the Treasury. And then you push the interest rate up too high, and then it's like, oh crap. How are we ever going to pay this off now? That's the risk of juicing it too much. Retail sales are double what we were expecting, and you're still worried that, come on.
Sunday Driver says I think they have a plan for the debt. One day, they will come up with a new dollar that will be used to pay off all the old debt. That will happen within 10 years. Living standards will drop.
Treasury_trader says there is no real equity bond correlation.
Sure there is. It's just a loose correlation.
Gary Rich says monetary policy is like models on models and infinite orgies of excessive speculation. I like the models but need a decent rack.
Need a decent rack. They don't want to do anything like that. They'll just
Treasury_trader says to loose to consider, emo.
I mean, consider that these bonds that they're buying, I believe they're 5-year bonds, right? The ones that they were doing for the public sector were 5 years. So I assume that what they're doing
Sunday
with the
Driver
corporates are
says
5
Gary
years
Rich
too.
lol.
They're just going to hold the bonds to maturity, and then they're going to come off the balance sheet, and then they're going to have made a profit. Supposedly, right? I gotta go. I mean, now the question is, how far are they going to go before the market actually opens?
Winston's mom says, do you know Mike Anya at ECON Emotions, who has a podcast? He says he uses Fibonacci and moving averages. What is moving averages?
Sounds like he's full of crap. Moving average are these lines right here, Win. So like an average would be like add every price together and divide them by the number of prices, right? But the price that happened, way back here isn't really very relevant anymore. So instead what we do is we just take the last 10 bars or whatever it is that you set in there. So we come in and we say what is the average of the last 14 bars? And then on the next bar, we'll add this one and we'll subtract this one. And then that's the new average. And that's the moving average. But then there's so many different kinds. Like with this one is just a simple moving average. But then this one is a moving average that's weighted by volume. And then this one that I've got over here, which is the one that I think is good. This on this chart right here, the thick green line, that is a super smooth moving average. If you're going to use a moving average and you can only have one, use the super smoother. It is without question the best moving average out there. Without question. It removes the noise and it's fast. And has the best balance between those two.
Gary Rich says if you drill into the retail sales, it's skewed towards internet, not brick and mortar department stores.
Oh, I'm no doubt. No doubt. Like, what's happening? All of the changes. It's funny, the thing that this crisis does is it just makes everything that was already happening happen faster. People were already buying a lot of stuff online. People were even starting to buy like groceries and goods online. And then after coronavirus, what did they do? They just stopped going to Walmart as much and just really bought it all on Amazon. That's what I did. And since they all got unemployment benefits and stimulus checks, then they could buy things. And I'm not exactly sure how they come up with that estimate, but I think that has to be the explanation
Winston's
for why
mom
it's so
says,
good.
I like the models but need a decent rack. ROFL Gary Rich.
And then there's this whole thing about, yes, but what happens when the unemployment benefits end? What happens when,
Gary Rich says, yep, I really never have to leave the house. I can get everything delivered.
I get everything delivered. Yep. The market year saying that 10-year is getting tight. Moving closer to a breakout of the triangle-like formation. 0.6% to the downside and negative trend line to the upside. Note the 100-day moving average.
Gary Rich says, come on Elon, build me a female robot. I'm set for life.
So they are pointing out that there is a really strong possibility of the 10-year yield breaking out and pushing back up here again. But this is where I'm talking about. It's like, that's a little concerning, isn't it? If the 10-year yield was to turn back around and then we can all become bond vigilantes, and the market would not like that. That was like what was happening in the heights of stagflation. market research less than a week ago, everybody wished they were Buffett, and now they wish they are all Robin Hooders again. We're doing okay. There's some real absorption right there. Absorption on a reloading, though. It kind of looks like they're going to push it even more.
Winston's mom says I have to leave the house today. First time in months. My car service requested I wear a mask. The offices at our courthouse do not.
That's funny. In Tennessee, there's been some drama in Utah because people don't want to wear the masks. The Hill. Jon Stewart blasts Trump as malevolent Mr. Magoo. I'm not going to get into that one. Is Jon Stewart going to make a comeback and be a popular political commentator again? I hope not. Because I thought that what he said yesterday was disgusting. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Looks like the first move this morning on the open will be a short then at 317.97. Really? 31.7? What? I don't know about this one, guys. Are they hitting my trail and stop? Oh, they're not even close. They'd have to come back to 45. Not even close. I think I can just hold it. It's fine. Eamon Javers. The chances of a major bill happening before the election are marginally above zero. GOP deficit hawks. What was that? GOP deficit hawks are starting to worry about spending. You'll see more of that later today, and House Dems won't want to do it now. They're thinking about getting a President Biden in January. He's right. There's not going to be a bill. This infrastructure bill, it is dead on arrival. Some people in the market think, oh, yeah, that's good, but it's not. Name suggested by Tucker Carlson as the potential replacements for the Chaz/Chop. Yeah, did you hear that they had to rename it? It is now the Capitol Hill ongoing protest. They're not an autonomous zone anymore. They realized that was dumb and a bad idea. Why traders care about non-commercial COT. Ooh, I want to read that. That is pertinent to my interests. Soviet Union. Oh, guys, that's good. Protesters trying to tear down a statue of a Spanish conquistador were met by members of a militia calling itself the New Mexico Civil Guard, a group carrying semi-automatic rifles. Gunshots were fired, and one protester is in critical but stable condition. Sounds like civil war. Man was shot Monday night as protesters and armed individuals clashed over a bronze statue of a Spanish conquistador. A group of protesters in New Mexico's largest city, tried to tear down the statue of Juan de Onate. They were confronted by a group of armed men who gathered in an effort to protect it. Protesters wrapped a chain around the statue and chanted, "Tear it down," adding that one protester swung a pickaxe at the base of the memorial. Demonstrators reportedly faced members of an armed militia that calls itself the New Mexico Civil Guard. The group carried semi-automatic rifles. Gunshots were fired, and one of the protesters calling for the statue's removal was shot. He was listed in critical but stable condition on Monday. Well, it's a good thing that they didn't shoot him in the head or anything like that. The Albuquerque Police Department said in Monday's statement that officers used chemical irritants and flashbangs to protect officers and detain individuals involved in the shooting.
Says, "Morning, Seth, and I saw the nanometer footage. Wasn't as dramatic as that article is making it sound. Person who got hit had it coming."
The person who had it got hit. It doesn't matter. Somebody got shot. The individuals were disarmed and taken into custody. We are receiving reports about vigilante groups possibly instigating this violence. If this is true, we will be holding them accountable to the fullest extent of the law, including federal hate group designation and prosecution.
Says it's unfortunate, but still.
Okay. The shooting tonight was a tragic, outrageous, and unacceptable act of violence, and it has no place in our city, he said. Our diverse community will not be deterred by acts meant to divide or silence us. Blah, 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 blah. Politicians trying to take advantage of it. Nah, 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 nah. There's really nothing more to the story. And I have to go and watch this. I don't think that's something that we should show on stream. I'll have to go watch it later. So there's the volatility stop. So it's the trend up is paused. They could potentially make it all the way back to 31.37. Maybe 31.40 is maybe where that moving average will be.
Treasury_trader says it's insane, that it's almost normal for you guys. There is no such thing like shooting people in Germany.
Well, that is not normal. But it happened in New Mexico, so, nobody cares. If that happened in New York, it would be like, it would be like, the Civil War is starting, oh no, if that happened in New York. If that happened in a big city. But New Mexico, nobody cares. Nobody cares about New Mexico. Do you have any idea how hard it is to drive over to New Mexico from Salt Lake City to Phoenix? It's not a simple drive. That is how out there that city is. Is Phoenix a bigger city than Salt Lake? So the Salt Lake metro area is about 1.2 million people. The Phoenix metro area is 4 million people. Wow, it is way bigger. It is way, way bigger. Yeah, I will show you. See, there's no direct route. See, you have to come down almost to Los Angeles. You have to go all the way into California and then come over here because you can't come down through here. There's no way through the Four Corners area, or you could go through Denver. But either way, it's like it's out there.
Treasury_trader says, but also with the police. No police shoots anybody. It's so rare. I don't even remember the last time it happened.
In Germany? I'm trying to think. I remember there's like a
Treasury_trader says, yeah.
over in France, they're having like a mini war over there,
Treasury_trader
right?
says, I will check.
There's this thing between the two ethnic groups in parts of France, and they're having a little mini war over there. But I don't think anything like that has ever happened in Germany, has it? Not that I'm aware of. They do have, I know, clashes, but Forex Live, how to predict market moving news.
Sunday Driver says in Europe, your day is coming. Diversity creates all kinds of frictions. Not being argumentative, but it's a fact.
Things are going to get worse everywhere. I'm sure. This is the thing that I find so incredibly frustrating about the Black Lives Matters movement. Okay? The United States is seeing a period of like crime and murder and all the bad things are at historic lows. We did a lot of work over the past 20, 30 years to make America's cities safer, and we were successful. Massively successful. And now they want to tear down all of the things that worked. It's like the things are the best they've ever been, and they want to ruin it. I'm kind of half tempted to buy another contract here, but I'm.
Gary
some
Rich
of
says
my
Germany
indicators
doesn't
tell
want
me
a
there's
civil
another.
unrest. We know how that one turned out.
There is a little bit of a, you know what?
Sunday Driver says, Seth, you are 100% correct.
So Oh, hold on.
Winston's mom says February 20th, 2020, right-wing extremism suspected in Germany shooting that left 11 dead, including suspect.
They do have mass murders, but that's like the one or two things that have happened there in like the past 20 years. I don't know this thing in Phoenix. I mean, that was reported last night, right? Well, I do see it on all that. Maybe this is going to be a flashpoint. Maybe this is going to be a big deal. Are they talking about it on Reddit? Reddit.com. Sort by. No. Sort by hats. Bum, 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 bum. Well, it's not on the top. U.S. Treasury Department holding 679 in tribal coronavirus relief. Now, I have to look at that one. I'm sure that see if it's. Oh, you know what? On r/coronavirus. Probably that's all nonsense. Not reliable subs. There we go. Okay. North Korea blows up joint liaison offices is up there. So not seeing it. Let's go to politics.
Treasury_trader says so 2018 it was 52 times the police shot. How high is it in USA?
No, it's the numbers aren't that high. It's like, around 100 type of a number. That the times that the U.S. had police officers. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're just talking about when police officers killed somebody, or if you're talking about when somebody died in their custody, for instance. Okay, I'm not okay. I'm not seeing anything about it on r/politics.
Gary Rich says at Mom, this one's for you. Who roller skates anymore?
Existent Being says, Seth, did you hear that cops were poisoned at Shake Shack the other day?
Oh yeah, I saw that one too. Like it's really frustrating. The cops did a great job, and all people. It's a moral panic. That's what this is. It's a moral panic. No question about it. It's a mass hysteria. No question. Mass hysteria. Unfortunate, right? Okay, so that was pretty good turn down. Not quite too lower. I think they could get. The treasuries are kind of having a hard time holding a bid still. I'm surprised that I'm not seeing anything on Reddit about this. A Black Lives Matter protester was shot at a demonstration in Albuquerque. And there's only 14 comments on it, posted an hour ago. Being shot over a statue, this is ridiculous, but those militia members have a record of doing dumb shit. Wonder how different that would have turned out if the shooter /
Existent Being says I can find you the link to the nanometer video.
He's gonna go to jail either way, dude. Come on.
Luis Alarid says, hey coppers, have a shake on us, thanks for your service, hee hee.
Oh my gosh. There's some crazy people out there. Reddit is. It's such a bizarre and twisted take on things. They're a militia group or a vigilante group because they're white people.
Sunday driver says wasn't the shooter defending himself.
I don't know. Not a lot of comment about that. What about on the Donald? The Donald.
Winston's mom says Eddie Money, baby hold on man, I loved roller skating to a good song. Thanks Gary Rich.
Every
Existent
once in a
being says
while.
a Sunday driver yes, according to the video it seems.
Every once in a while you get an incident that everybody in the media kind of agrees to not cover because they realize that it's dangerous.
Sunday driver says video showed him running and getting attacked by Antifa mob.
Well, if he was being attacked, then hey. Well, let's wait. Let's see if. Well, I'm not really seeing. See, everything on the Donald is still talking about the Shake Shack thing. Tucker renames Chaz to Wokedishu. Dishu. That's funny. I think people are going to forget about the Chaz. I think that eventually the people at the Chaz will get bored and go home. Don't see anything about Albuquerque on the top here either. Okay. See, and there was something about it on Hot Air, but no video. Washington Post might have a video. I'm sure that they would be love to. I don't know how to spell Albuquerque, of course. It's mostly local news that's popping up in Google. That's good, I guess. Okay, Washington Post has a video. Video contains graphic content. Okay. It's a pretty lame statue, to be honest. There's guys standing there, and they are surrounded by protesters. There's a guy stepping up. It's going to stop them. Like, you stop this. They're all like, they got their cameras, and they're yelling in their faces. I don't think that this is going to have the video. Okay, they're trying to pull down the statue with a rope and chain, with that chain. And now somebody's on the ground. So they didn't show any video of a guy getting shot.
Existent being says here's a video from Twitter if you want to see.
You gotta go put spaces around the periods or I won't show it to me.
Sunday driver says it's hard to see the shooting. You can hear it. The person with the camera gets excited and wigs out.
Oh. It does look like it would be a situation where whoever it was would be surrounded by people. But that would mean that it would be difficult to really say how much his life was in danger to justify shooting. Okay. They're not letting it touch. Treasuries have come back up a bit. Okay. Damn it. Okay, that's curious. I guess I'll take that one.
Winston's mom says I have a brother-in-law who is a cop in Philly. I worry about him and I also am aware he has certain attitudes after years working for overtime at the city drunk tank.
I bet. Oh, now they give it to me. Of course.
Luis Alarid says you drive up to show support, they pull you out and beat you up. Wise up, avoid crowds.
Yeah. Wouldn't go anywhere near those protests. I've seen plenty of videos. I saw a video in where was it? I want to say it was somewhere in California where there was this guy, and for whatever reason, I think that they were in an argument or something, but they just started wailing on the guy, and they stomped him on when he was on the ground. I was so shocked when I saw them stomp him on the ground. I was like, what? That's some hateful shit right there.
Sunday Driver says that's what's amazing. People today kick a man when he's down. Punt stomps to the head should be attempted murder.
Oh, it should be. You're totally right. I'm sure that because there's like one of the things is because there's so much video everywhere now, you can absolutely go back and prosecute these people. And I think everybody seems to think, oh, this awful thing happened and there will never be justice. Like that's what they think. And then yeah. Anyways. So what do I see on the Donald? I don't see a whole lot about the story on the Donald. New Mexico militia defense statue in Albuquerque mob runs them off and attacks one protester shot in street. And there's actually a couple of threads about it. Antifa just tried to murder someone in Albuquerque. That's what they say.
Winston's mom says trading futures livestream, the 16th of June 2023 watching now, started streaming 63 minutes ago. 71share save, please hit like. Thanks.
Like you win. All right, let's see this video maybe. turn the sound off. Okay. Antifa's attacking this man. He's running away. He's walking away. I think he has a gun in his hand, but I can't see. Now they're chasing after him. Hold on. We're gonna need sound here.
Dude, you guys! He's gonna fucking kill you! No!
Oh shit. Okay. He was totally justified. You're right. Has 100% justified. $100%. Oh, did I get... Hold on. I'm not paying attention here. No, I'm okay.
Existent being says ain't a good look, that's for sure. Sunday Driver says the part where the mob was shouting, I am going to F asterisk 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 kill you, sorta seals the deal.
It's a little close for comfort. You know what? I'm just gonna post the video. Albuquerque. How do you... That is a hard thing to spell. Okay, so interesting open here. They are going short a bit. Getting a little bit of clicking. It's some bids. 38. this one is going to be a fucking disaster because just looking at the Albuquerque thing, because one, people haven't realized it yet. It happened yesterday, but the news didn't catch it in. The news is not being honest about it. They're not mentioning at all that the man was shot in self-defense. And a lot of people are going to just say that it doesn't matter because he's racist or whatever. It's gonna be ugly. So some people really want to sell this, huh? That's kind of interesting. They completely retrace this, but
Sunday Driver
let's
says much
just
of the
see.
news is very favorable towards Antifa.
Oh yeah. The headlines that I'm seeing already are not honest. That man was shot in self-defense, and there's absolutely no suggestion at all that there's any self-defense in it. That's not accurate reporting. So that's some pretty heavy selling. I just don't see the argument for shorting the E-mini here still. Okay, there was something, but I didn't result in clicks. Who the heck is that? One of my kids has a alarm going off, and it's just still going. Like, you're not gonna wake up, turn it off. Okay. Bull's making a little bit of a push there, but not. Still getting flooded. Hold the buckets. The bucket, the boat, the whatever. Well, there's 3120. Now I'm seeing clicks. Mm. Okay. The open was at 3140. Wouldn't have minded 3130, but I feel like I'm already took on a lot of risk there, so I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I'm sitting here like, what the hell are you doing? Once we get above the open, then maybe I will go and check what's going on, because like, really? Oh, you know what it is? It's probably a kid trying to call another kid. Have you guys seen this? So when my kids get called for like a video conference on their iPad or whatever, their friend will just keep calling over and over and over again. Like, dude, stop it. That is it. That's it. I'm on.
Existent being says, oh, someone's in trouble.
Wow. You know what? You know what it was? It was my stepson. He had an alarm set, and the alarm went off, and it was literally next to his face, and he was sleeping through it. Can you believe that? It wasn't that loud. It was actually not as loud. Okay, that orange candle there seems a little a little weird. Somebody really wants to go short, apparently. Oh, we got Chairman Powell speaking at the top of the hour. Why would people want to go short?
Gary Rich says Tony Dwyer from Canaccord said it best. They keep telling us what they gonna buy, and it translates to higher.
We're getting 5-point swings on 1 minute charts. It's going down and up and down 5 points. I'm quite shocked. Now this bar is going to be an inside bar. Probably. Somebody's going to try and push it, but let's see. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. There's the attempt. 2, 1. They don't make it. It ends up being an inside bar. Now the buyers are going to try and push it out above this swing at 31.35. And if they can bust it out at the top, then I wouldn't necessarily use it as a signal, but it's a pretty good indication that the buyers have won this. There's 35. Notice that immediately they back off there. CBOE reopened its CBOE options exchange trading floor in Chicago on Monday and successfully resumed hybrid trading. No. Brannigan, here's an objective thought to mull over. The risk markets topped and sold off aggressively on a very dovish Fed, but then got bought up aggressively on very negative coronavirus second wave fears. No.
Bots says good morning.
Chopstick7Life says, anyone have any idea where I can watch J-Pow?
We'll have the links when it
Chopstick7Life says, and good
It's
morning.
usually C-SPAN. Usually C-SPAN will have it, so. But there'll be plenty of streams up on YouTube when it happens. But, I mean, he's not going to say anything that significant. It's doubtful that he's going to say anything that significant. Okay, so there's the 35. Cool. Okay. So they're going to want to try and blow this 38 ATR stop.
Sunday Driver says Dow is up 666 at the moment. Just in case you are wondering.
Jeez. I really wonder who would be selling this today. Like I get like short-term swing down and everything, but like somebody is really trying hard there. Okay, somebody just got screwed there. There
Sunday Driver
was
says some would say that you should sell into strength. I'm a bear, but even I am surprised at how much effort the Fed is making to prop up equities. Meanwhile, social measures continue to decay.
it's really weird. I think that I think that the guys over there are just not don't have as strong of hands as you would think, right? There's like a retail trader when it goes against them, they freak out, you know? I think that's what's going on. So somebody definitely got stopped out there around 31, 36. It was really I don't know how to explain the action, but there was like some real like something weird happened and then they pushed up higher, but now it's coming back to that area and filling it out.
Winston's mom says Chopstick 7 Life good morning. Speculator Seth, do you plan to watch Powell in Livestream?
Probably. I wonder, I guess some of this could be people trying to take profits or whatever before Mr. Powell speaks. But I find the overall action to be incredibly unusual. Somebody's trying to sell it really hard. You see that? That is aggressive selling. Okay. It's aggressive iceberging at 31.26.
Chopstick 7 Life says last time Feds announced interest rates going through 2022, market actually dropped a bit.
Yeah, but I don't think that that means anything. That one, I think that that one had more to do with people's positionings than it had anything to do with
Winston's
what the
mom
Federal
says
Reserve did.
incredibly unusual, apparently is the new normal.
Because they didn't say anything that was unexpected. Ian Shepardson, the manufacturing fee is a lot less impressive than the retail sales fee. Yeah. Who's the seller? And like all of my internals and everything say that we should be moving up too. Hmm. Hmm. They must be going for like a 50% retracement or something. Well, some pretty big absorption at 31.24 now as well. Okay. Nope. Well, I don't know. I mean, there has been some downside action and everything, but I still kind of feel like that they're building a good base and that the upside looks really good. Yeah. I'm wondering, I'm looking at the tick and everything, and the tick never got below negative 500. I'm wondering if some of this is being driven by some volatility in one particular stock like Apple or something like that. Because it seems like that broadly it's up,
Sunday
but the
Driver
index
says
is
let's
having a hard
see.
time holding
Once the
it.
markets get addicted, and some would say they already are, to the Fed being a major buyer of all sorts of things, how can the Fed wean itself off without a major downswing?
Well, I think that your analysis has to go a little bit deeper than that, right? The way that they deal with this sort of a thing, because they're bonds, is they allow them to go to maturity. Well, what happens if that company doesn't end up being that healthy and they can't pay the debt off?
Gary Rich says.
Then do they have to
Gary Rich says the Fed has created their own index. The leverage ratios, the areas, companies, etc. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
right? Well, and I think they're even saying like which maturities they're buying, right? They're 5 years. Which is why the 5-year end of the curve seems to have been responding so much more lately. And I'm sure that a lot of this downward pressure in the bonds is companies hedging themselves,
Gary
getting
Rich
ready
says
to
read
offer.
that paper.
Yeah, okay. I read that one that you posted to me yesterday, but it didn't really tell me a whole lot that we didn't already know. But anyways, the whole thing is they'll hold those bonds to maturity. But then, if the company isn't healthy by that point, then do you have another crisis and they have to buy more?
Sunday Driver says money is fungible. It goes into prop one area and affects others.
So this is the concern that people have, is that the Fed will be stuck. That these companies will become zombie companies, and the Fed will have to continue buying their bonds to prop it up because they're not paying it off, or they're paying it off really, really, really slowly. That's the real concern here. Now, if these are healthy companies that would otherwise be just fine without the pandemic, then supposedly that's not supposed to be that big of a deal, right? So I don't think that the Fed buying bonds is automatically reason for concern. And as far as we're concerned, you know where the money's going to go. So just, trade accordingly.
Sunday Driver says if they are fine, then why buy them?
They're
Let
not
the free
fine.
market sort it out.
They're not fine. Well, what did I say? I said they are companies that would be otherwise fine if it wasn't for a pandemic. Okay. So if they have profitable businesses that are generating revenue and growing, and if they're businesses that are growing, then it should be the case that the Fed's investment should be perfectly safe. Even on these, but then they're even buying junk bonds. That's when it kind of starts to become like, okay. But that's because they don't want all of the other companies to have pressure on them, right? They don't want the
Gary Rich says it's just transfer or transferring one asset to another balance sheet Fed style.
yeah.
When the Fed goes QT, all it does is let them run off or reinvest for another duration.
Yeah.
Sunday Driver says viruses don't last forever. Surely, the forward-looking free market can sort that. No?
Well, it already has. I mean, why do you think we're up so much? I guess the whole thing is that we continue to see the central bank suggest that what is the word? Like extraordinary measures are necessary when we're up so high is really quite odd. Really doesn't fit with the facts on the ground and makes us think that there must be something we don't know, or why are they acting so scared? That I think is concerning. Where was that last one from? $23.
Sunday Driver says we didn't go up until Fed chairman said there is no level of support the Fed won't pursue. There is no red line they won't cross. If the Fed pulled buying, we'd see Dow 10,000.
Oh, I see. So what I really got was no, we started going up basically the day that they announced the program that they were going to buy corporate bonds. It was literally to the day. This is a really odd action. Okay, well, Chairman Powell is speaking. I could pull it up on here for you guys, but I would rather read the squawks, to be honest with you. He usually doesn't say anything significant. He's just going to repeat what he said in his last FOMC meeting, right?
Vincenzo C. says well, couldn't make the bank deposit I wanted. Seems there's a run on my bank. Anyone interested?
There's a run on your bank and you can't make a deposit? What? This market is surprisingly two-way.
Chopstick 7 Life says here we go.
Sunday Driver says I trust your comments that you are seeing odd action. Does this suggest irrational buyers in the market? In other words, the Fed.
No. It's irrational sellers. So the context
Vincenzo
here.
C says they're limiting withdrawals.
The context of the news and frankly the price action on a midterm basis all suggests long. And to be seeing as aggressive of selling as we're seeing this morning is quite odd to me. I think that those sellers are eventually going to lose and that could push us up very aggressively. But for the time being, yeah, the action that I'm seeing right here is just
Sunday Driver
really
says a
weird.
Vincenzo C. Which bank? Sunday Driver says I think they're selling into strength. To me, a bear, this makes sense.
That could be. I don't think that's the
Vincenzo
way you
C
do
says
it.
let me try and pay a bill and transfer some money first.
So if you're looking to fade a move, okay, either because you're taking profits or let's say that you really want to start a position down, you don't hit into it with market orders. You don't. The trend is in your favor. Why would you hit back the other way? Nah. Get yourself filled on the limit. Be passive. Acquire shares. Then when it's sputtered out and you kind of and it starts coming back down on its own, and then you'll get to this point where it's like, okay, here's kind of this little point that they seem a little reluctant to get over and all they need is a little push. And then you use your market orders. That makes sense? When I see these guys selling down in here with market orders, I don't think that those are willing sellers.
Chopstick 7 Life says J Pow testifying now.
Okay, well, another pretty good move up there. Still not over 31, 38, 31, 40 area. We're back to the open, but they look likely to get there. I was able to get my one target on that one, which is cool.
Gary Rich says I knew something was up when selling premium 2 weeks ago. I was forced out longer in time and closer to the money. It was a tell for some turn to come.
Oh, so you thought that the pullback was coming. I don't know. When I look at the action, I'm starting to wonder if like when that sell came, it was really kind of weird, and I kind of feel like that a lot of it is just momentum following. I think that there's a lot of retail traders chasing this around, and that's resulting in more volatility. Like really, the way that it's moving right now, I wonder what is the VIX at right now. Let's go look. Okay, so the VIX opened lower at 32.8. Because today the price action is almost as volatile as it was on Thursday. Of course, at certain points in Thursday, it really went to like total insanity. But this chart is on on a 1 minute chart is so messy.
Bots says 32.61.
32.61. What do you make of it, John? It seems to me like the 1 minute chart at the range of the bars on these are insane.
Gary Rich says the premium evaporated on me, and returns did not qualify. Last week MKT Dump Thursday gave me some areas to pick up premium but very cautious.
Now they're really looking like they're going to make a push to the open.
Chopstick 7 Life says bought some cheap calls before the testimony. Papa JPOW bless up. Gary Rich says suggestion when displaying the VIX numbers, might it be better in percentage terms, not plus 100 plus 50%.
Well, I mean, I want to know the exact number, Gary. For you, it's probably better to know a percentage, huh? But I want to know the exact number because the market does weird stuff when it hits those numbers. Somebody always freaks out after it hits that number.
Gary Rich says I recalculated my ATR to only use high to low, not traditional HLOC.
Oh. And how did that turn out? Oh, you know what? By the way, that reminds me, Gary. Because you were saying like that your Fisher transform was way better than a CCI. Because I think you must be using TT. You must be using trading technologies. Because the Fisher transform is not really like... I think that the Fisher transform that is in NinjaTrader is pretty similar to the what do we call it? The Euler Fisher transform. But then the adaptive CCI, which is what I'm using, uses a Fisher transform, right? So an adaptive CCI will give you almost the same turns and everything as your CCI, but it also gives you a number on the strength of the trend that is a little bit more reliable. So I was kind of, when I looked back through it, and I was like, oh no, my CCI that I was using actually is better. Although I don't know, I kind of have. Well, like I'll show you guys. I'll show you. Bring it over here. So if I come in here and add the adaptive CCI. There you go. I just don't like how much room it takes up. But you can see that it was saying when we were like negative 200, that's very strong downtrend. It's stronger of a downtrend than I would like to hold through, but I don't know. I made enough profit on it that I was able to. I told myself I didn't want to risk more than 100, and I never did. Of course, I could have gotten stopped out, and I would have lost 100, but.
Gary Rich says Ehlers-Fisher transform is what I use. It's more of an oscillator for me. I see how far it gets to extremes before a turn is likely.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that an adaptive CCI, it basically has a Euler's-Fisher transform. Like Euler had the Fisher transform, and then his CCI was like one step further from that. It's an adaptive CCI. Is what it's called. But then the question is, do you have mesostochastics? Or have you tried mesostochastics? Ben Carson, stop being offended by everything and grow up. Oh, man. Okay. So they still haven't busted the open and the high yet, but I think it's probably coming. Okay, there it is. Just a little bit more. The stops on this are probably going to be pretty fun. Oh, come on. You can do it.
Gary Rich says I used to use stochastic, MACD, RSI, adaptive smoothing, all of them. I dropped them because they seemed to me just another curve fitting. Others I let them explore their own journey.
No. So let me go back. Okay. The most significant developments in technical analysis were developed by this guy Euler. He has a website. You can go and find his website. He has some books. He's done some webinars on futures.io. Essentially what he did was he looked at technical analysis and he said, well, okay, here's technical analysis, but there's problems. Ooh, they're setting up a level break. He said, number one is that you get a lot of noise, and so you have to filter out all of the noise. But then when you filter out the noise, you get lag. So what he did was he used his experience in electrical engineering, and he used the same methods and filters that they use in electricity to filter out noise. So that's where you get the super smoother, for instance. One of the things in an oscillator, something that happens in an oscillator, is that when you get a high reading, then you get this oscillator that's like stuck up there. And then when the trend actually comes down, because the oscillator was already so high, by the time the oscillator shows you that it's actually turning, it's like way too late. So what he did was he applied a roofing filter so that it filters out the excessively high numbers, and you can still get a relatively quick oscillator. So he had stochastics. You got stochastics and stochastic RSI. You apply the roofing filter to it, and you get the mesostochastics, MESA. And that was apparently his, at least from what I've seen, like what he promotes and what he seems to talk about the most is his mesostochastics. And he has a bunch of Monte Carlo simulations and historical charts, performance on the E-mini with it, showing that it actually had pretty okay edge. It was kind of this thing where I've been saying that, like, well, you're unlikely to have really good consistency without incorporating some fundamentals. But if you're looking for an oscillator, from everything that I've seen, the most effective oscillator is that mesostochastics. I don't know how you get it in TT, but they like lizard indicators for NinjaTrader has them in for NinjaTrader. Okay, so the bonds got shot down there a little bit. Meanwhile, the E-mini pulling back from that high again. New York Police Department Chief Detective says no criminality after officers sickened at Shake Shack? Are you kidding me? What? So they're really saying that it was a mistake? Really? How do you mistakenly put bleach in a milkshake, guys? Well, that one defies reason.
Sunday Driver says NYC political establishment, i.e. de Blasio, hates cops. From that perspective, this makes sense.
There was somebody on Twitter, and this is totally, I mean, it's just on Twitter, so I would say totally unconfirmed, but
Sunday Driver says no other patrons are complaining of being sick.
they were saying that the
Gary
police
Rich
unit...
says yes, oscillators are like sine waves. Sound waves. I've read studies, papers on applying thermodynamic formulas to TA. It's about preference or comfort.
No, it's not. It's about this. These versions of the indicators are literally faster. They will literally get you into the move sooner. That's the whole point of those. I don't know. That seems like an advantage to me, but how much money did the Fed give you? Did the Fed buy 5 million of your bonds? No, because it's a big club and you aren't in it, says Zero Hedge. Oh, GovTrader. He needs to change his name back now that Zero Hedge is free. The E-mini S&P 500 futures open interest is over 3.37 million contracts. Use our complimentary rule analyzer tool to help optimize your roll strategies ahead of Friday's June contract expiration. CMEgroup.com. they were kind of going there, and then they sure seemed to like 31.35. Funny, since that's like where I took my original trade. Whatever. They're like, y'all, we know that Seth got in at around 31.35. So to frustrate him to the max, we're going to rotate around that price. Cool.
Gary Rich says when the Fed speaks racial justice, I wanna vomit.
Is he talking about that stuff? Listen, it's okay. You gotta do the PR. I understand. And hey, you know what? These institutions, like this is the thing that again it bothers me is like we've made so much progress over the past 30, 50 years, and especially in the past 10 to 20 years, my lifetime in terms of violent crime. And
Uzi Knesset says that PR will become race-based policy decisions real quick lol.
no recognition. No recognition of this at all. They're like, oh, all of these things that you did, they're absolutely awful and they're oppressing. Do you hear Jon Stewart? He's like, the police are a border patrol between the different. It was such a disgusting comment. I thought it was like, no, the police are there to enforce the law.
Sunday Driver says we keep giving energy to these assertions that are not proven statistically. Sunday Driver says there is no systemic racism.
I don't. Well, the thing that's funny is your definition of systemic racism is probably different from a social justice warrior's definition of systemic racism. Let me try and provide an example for you. If you have more money and you and people that look like you have more money on average than another group of people that looks different, then there's systemic racism. That's what they think, right? So the social justice warrior view is that the country was built on the back of slave labor and that white people took all of the benefits from it and black people didn't get any benefit from it, and that's what results in white privilege. That is why white people have all of the money. And until that money is taken away from white people and redistributed, then there is systemic racism. That's what they believe. So if you want to come in and say there is no systemic racism, because we're saying like, where's a law? Where's a law? Because if it's the system, where's a law that is systemically racist? You have a hard time finding it today, right? But that's not what they mean when they say systemic racism. I guess not pertinent to the markets, but maybe something that will help you interpret a lot of what people out there are saying a little bit better, huh? When I kind of realized that, I was like, oh, that is quite extreme, isn't it? I think it is, but I digress. They gonna bust that high? I think that is gonna be so juicy if they do. I think I kind of okay. What's going on here in the 5-year? Big old honking huge guy showing up at 12.5. That's a big one. Do we got something comparable over here? Well, there's this 337 in the 30-year. Maybe they're spreading. Oh, wait. You guys were saying Okay, we'll skip this one because we already covered that one.
Uzi Knesset says black folks were doing good catching up after everything inflicted upon them until poverty was incentivized with the new society programs. Gary Rich says if the libtards are concerned over BLM, why don't they provide their home and bank account to them? Just jerk-offs jerking the sensitivities
Well, some of them are
others.
doing that.
I call
some
it
of them
glory
are.
hole jerking. Look up glory hole.
Sunday Driver says men are physically stronger and taller than women. Is that systemic misogyny?
No.
Sunday Driver says women live longer than men. System misandry.
Gary Rich says it's Sunday not if you get a sex change or transgender.
Men on average make more money than women on average, and they believe that that is systemic misogyny, yes. Even though we know that the difference in outcomes is largely a result of the individual's choices. Women tend to choose careers that aren't as lucrative, and they tend to not work as many hours. So is it really systemic misogyny? Well, then you'd have to argue that women are making those choices because of their internalized misogyny. And now you're kind of getting into some sort of assertion that kind of requires a little bit of faith and mind reading to support, right? But that's the way they look at it. Okay, so there's some highs.
Sunday Driver says men work longer hours and do more dangerous work. You don't see women seeking dangerous jobs that pay well.
It's because of their internalized misogyny, Sunday Driver. That's the argument that you get. When I've seen this, that's the argument they make. I don't know. Seems kind of crazy to me, but that's what they say.
Uzi Knesset says that's some communist dipshittery lol.
It really is, because to them...
Sunday Driver says in fact, women didn't want to work in a man's world until it became comfortable white-collar work and air-conditioned.
Okay, but now let me try and apply this back to markets, right? This is what they're really saying. This is how I take it. So you're testing a system. It's testing a system. You have a system, and here's this system, okay? Society, and you get this result out of it, right? This piece of data. And what is this piece of data? That it is that women's pay is something like 70% or whatever, men's is 100% or whatever, right? Okay. And you sit down and you say, that means that there is something wrong with society. But in reality, where is that coming from? Well, men and women are putting things into society, and it happens that women put choices in that results in them, taking less lucrative and less dangerous jobs. So when you look at it just as a black box, then any discrepancy seems like injustice. But when you look at the whole system and you see the inputs into that system, then it becomes clear why it is the way that it is. And you realize that, differences in outcome aren't necessarily always caused by injustice. Okay. Now let me apply it to trading. You have the market. And it outputs something to you, the trader. And you get something, you get price and volume. Okay. And you come and you look at that price and volume and you say, based on this price and volume, the market is X. The market is going to move down today because the momentum and the moving averages on my price say that we're moving down. And based on my back testing and everything, it says that it should move down. But what we don't realize is that the trader is sending orders into the market based on that data. All right. This is not a black box. This is 100% determinant is the term that we use. That is, you put the same set of orders, the market is in the same state, and you put the same set of orders in it, you will get the same result every time because the matching algorithm does not change and there's no randomness to the matching algorithm. The randomness comes from the orders. The randomness comes from the orders. It's a fractal function. How can you sit down and you can say that price and volume tells you everything that you need to know when there's all of this other information that you're not seeing out there? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's just as ridiculous as saying that because men make more than women on average, that there is systemic misogyny. With me? With me? Don't say crazy things like rebuild the 19th. No. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Don't take it too far, guys. Zero Hedge tweets of the inequality question. Well, that's interesting. They tweet that. So if they pushed up to the high, they didn't really get stops. I mean, they got a little bit of stops, but nothing crazy. Lin Jian Zhao is tweeting Chinese customs has detected pests in logs from Canada, which are removed for invasion concerns. We have notified the Canadian side that the logs do not meet the international standard and asked for investigations and improvements. Oh, okay. Oh, that was a pretty hard turn down. Mohammed El Arain making a good point. This information is key to assessing three important questions: the extent of short-term problems becoming structurally embedded in the economy via long-term unemployment and the limits of WIT policy support. Okay, what are you saying here?
Sunday Driver says you just explained why they shouldn't vote. They are emotional and just see results and not contributing factors. They create constant confusion on issues and affairs of the day.
That's everybody.
Chopstick 7 Life says, bro, this guy on the Fed stream is just talking about race, holy moly.
I don't think that that's a reason that they shouldn't vote, because then you would have to say that nobody should vote. Like honestly, humans are emotional, tend to not really look at contributing factors. They don't look at things statistically. They don't look at numbers. There's so many cognitive biases in humans. It's quite startling once you start to realize how bad we all are at this, and it's quite alarming when you start to find it in yourself. I am on I take medication for ADHD, and it kind of suppresses your limbic system and makes you a little bit less emotional. What I want to say, even in some cases, a little bit less empathetic, because you just don't care. Not that you can't feel it, but you just don't care because the logic overwhelms it. And I look back at the decisions that I make before that, and it's like, whoa, okay, dude, what the heck?
Gary Rich says we don't allow monkeys to fly planes. Up the voting age to 25. It's when the brain fully forms.
Well, that's one thing that you could do, or frankly, I think something that makes even more sense to me would be that to vote you have to actually have something at stake. Like I don't think that it would be fair to say that you have to own property, but okay, you must have just said something super scary. So we're gonna get stopped out of this. My, oh my. Since I don't know what's going on, I'm just going to sit back. That was quite dramatic, though. I mean, that is one that I could try for a continuation, but Beijing city government raises COVID-19 emergency response level to level 2 from level 3, citing RTRS, citing state media. That's the news event. Well, you know what, guys? I made a lot of mistakes with that last trade, but it's okay. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I think we came out even on it. It's fine. But probably should have moved up my stops. Probably should have. There's a lot of things I should have done, but it's okay. Man, this is so bad. And I had 103 at one point. That's so bad. But I didn't get my target. They came in. They stopped it before I get my target. So is this something that we need to be concerned about, that we can't buy anymore? And I see Zero Hedge tweeting about the Florida cases increasing. Well, I'll tell you what. If the market fails through this and gets below 3,100, then that would be quite stunning, wouldn't it? Anyways, what was I saying? One idea would be you have to own property to vote. I don't think that would be fair because there's too many people that don't vote. But yeah, should it be that you have to have something at stake in the economy to vote? Yeah, that would make sense, but I don't think it's doable. That would disenfranchise too many people, and you have to keep it fair for people too. Or at least I'm not saying that that's like what is fair or whatever. I'm saying that like what is feasible would have to have a certain amount of support. And I don't think that you're ever going to get support for that. You know what I mean? So it's not really a very realistic proposal.
Winston's mom says, civics classes before we vote, and now you are in Plato's Republic, which can be a bit kinky. Lol.
Well, yeah, so radical opinion of mine. You ready? Seth is about to say something radical. You should have to pass a test to run for office. In old China, there was you basically had to dedicate your life to it. You had to dedicate your life to Confucian philosophy. Man, they're selling this hard. You had to dedicate your life to Confucian philosophy, and you had to take tests. And in order to pass like the highest level of the test, you had to be really smart, and like only 5% of people passed it. It was really hard. And I think that within that system, the problem that the Chinese had was that it was very ideological, and so you weren't allowed to progress in the system unless you believed certain things, and that was a problem. So I don't think that we should go that far, but I do think that you should have to know certain things in order to run for office. I really do. Because you know what drives me crazy? I hate it so much as I'll see these guys. I remember in the county mayor race here in Davis County, there was this guy, he was running to become one of the commissioners. And this guy, like, he spent his whole life dealing with municipalities. He had gone to college for this kind of city planning stuff, and he had worked with companies on the city planning. Like, he knew his shit. And this lady that basically had lots of friends came and beat the crap out of him. She didn't know fucking thing. She didn't, sorry my language, but she didn't know jack. She had no clue what she was getting into. She just wanted an office, I guess, or she was concerned, but qualified, this guy was infinitely more qualified, and she trounced him. She just absolutely trounced him. It bothers me. I think that you should there should be a minimum amount of knowledge required to be running for office, particularly at local levels. universal suffrage is really bad. I don't know. I think so. Going back to the thing, I think that you're seeing a lot of stuff with like women in voting where women have never really had this power, and I don't think that they 100% themselves understand the consequences of it. I think that it'll take a couple of generations and a couple of like big mistakes in history and stuff like that for them to say, okay, well, we women sometimes we have a tendency to do X thing, and that's a problem, and so we need to protect against that in the future. Just like what happened with World War II, right? After World War II, we said, oh, okay, sometimes these sorts of things will happen and that results in genocide, and sometimes these sorts of things will happen and that results in communism, which is basically genocide, but on a class level. And so we avoid those things. And I think that with the women voters, you're going to have to go through that too. We're going to have to learn the lessons, how to deal with society, because it does change the way that voting outcomes come out. They keep explaining why women should be allowed to vote. Well, why should they not be? I'm sorry, but you're crazy if you think that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. The voting is important to keep the needs of the people in line with the power structure of the government. If you disenfranchise women, then you're basically creating a society that will always be contrary to the best interests of women. And women are now extremely independent. Many homes are single parent homes with just women. There are still a lot of single women. They need to be represented by their own interests. And denying the vote on the basis of gender is frankly crazy and extreme and reprehensible, frankly. Yeah, I guess some of you guys have some things that I think are reprehensible, but it really is. I can't stress that enough. Anyways, well, they're getting down to 3110. More bad coronavirus news coming out of Texas. North Texas and Texas overall have set record highs for hospitalized COVID patients today, with 765 and 2,518. Hospitalizations are up 67% statewide and 48% regionally since Memorial Day. Governor Abbott is scheduled to address the spike in hospitalizations at 1 p.m. today. Women's social problems have accelerated with the vote. I really don't think. I shouldn't say. I don't really know. I would like to see statistical proof about which elections would have been different without the female vote and so forth. Are we saying that Lyndon B. Johnson wouldn't have gotten elected without women voters, or because that's where a lot of the structural problems started. It's around that JFK Lyndon B. Johnson era. Okay, so they're making some recovery here. Treasury's really spiked up there. Well, I haven't seen the market react to a headline quite as aggressively as that in a while. Surveys show women are unhappier now than ever. They replace government for meaningful relationships. Single motherhood is a contributing factor. Yeah, 100% single motherhood. You're absolutely right, Sunday Driver, that single motherhood is probably the single largest. Well, I don't want to say single motherhood, but children being raised without a father in the home is the single largest contributor to societal problems. No question about it.
Uzi Knesset says if we want to cure COVID, we need to all go out and protest systemic racism. Like rain dance. Only being communist will solve COVID LMAO.
Can you believe all of this? There's at some point in the future, there is a very large half of the country. At some point in the future, half of the country is going to have to deal with the cognitive dissonance and realize that they were wrong about something. It's either going to be that we should have been more careful, or it's going to be that the virus wasn't as deadly as they were saying. Which one is it going to be, you think? Right now, I think that the data favors that we didn't really actually need to shut things down. I think that the death rate is not so high that the hospitals in the United States would have been overwhelmed. Well, they had a good pullback, but now the momentum is firmly in control of the short. I'd say that we did so much battle back there that yeah, we did so much battle back there that this is going to have some real legs to it. The cumulative delta is lower.
Sunday Driver says it will be a combination. If you are old, it's deadly. We didn't have time to filter and analyze why so many were dropping dead. So,
Whoa.
they did the responsible thing and took extensive precautions.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that they thought that enough young people get it and die too that it was still a problem. I think that has been discredited. That was kind of the spot.
Gary Rich says throw logic out and go with the irrationality of them. Robinhood 2020 for president.
Yeah, for sure. The issue I have in a situation like this is that how likely is the market to eventually brush it off? You know, like there's so much else going on that they could brush it off for sure. So far, though, it doesn't look very good. If we really do, I really think that it's 3,100. So let's see if I'm looking for like a really big spike of some sort.
Chopstick 7 Life says went from calls to put super quick LMAO.
Good job. I've been doing this all sim still because it's the summertime, and frankly, it's too volatile. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, we could play this on, it's sim, so we can play it, but I think that at this time I should practice, doing the right thing, which is that it's too volatile for my strategies right now. It's too volatile. I could try here, like there's some absorption right there at 3,100, right? Sell that short. That one works. Let's say that we're just trying to get 2 points. That's probably what I'd have to play right now. Okay, so I got a data skip. So the markets are definitely having trouble keeping up. The treasuries are just skyrocketing high of the day. Well, we still got to get up to these 10K, 11Ks up here just to be in yesterday's range, but my gosh.
Lucas says good morning. Lucas says how did you configure different colors on Auction Vista? Gary Rich says I want to see how Dr. Rick Bright's whistleblower lawsuit plays out due to his claims of COVID in January.
Okay. I haven't heard about that. So I came in here in the settings and under Auction Vista, you can come in and change the color. So I changed the colors to blue and red because green and red is stupid. I actually tried doing blue and orange, but I thought that regular orange was a little bit too much. Dodger blue wasn't quite. Really, I should be doing really, if I wanted to do it right, maybe it would do where is it? Like a cornflower blue. It's a little bit more faded out there, you see? And then maybe we could go to regular orange. Then at that point, orange. Cool. You can also change these. I had these green at one point, but then people complained that it was ugly and I lost it. And I was too lazy to redo it all.
Vincenzo C says ATM's empty. If that's not a run, what is? Someone knew something yesterday. Lucas says, or is it configurable from there too?
Yeah.
Lucas says, oh I see. Lol, I kept looking for configs in the Auction Vista frame itself.
No,
Did they drop the heat map?
It's in the...
Vincenzo C says okay, so yesterday I couldn't get in 2 different branches at 3 p.m. due to drive-through lines so long they spilled into major streets. So, I realized I'd have to go tomorrow morning.
Where do you live?
Vincenzo C says today 9:15 a.m. when no one should be there again, 30 cars in line and something new. Guy in suit and mask going car to car saying withdrawals are limited.
Where was this?
Vincenzo C says Wells Fargo Pa. Tenzin Norbu says Qing
TA?
Dynasty China was also ruled at times by queens and sorry it was brutal too.
I'm sorry, guys. You're not gonna convince me. I refuse to give in to the calls that women shouldn't vote. No. Nope. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you, and I think that your view is reprehensible. Sorry. No, nothing personal. Nothing personal, but I think that your opinion is reprehensible. Is that okay to say? I think what you believe is terrible
Vincenzo
and awful,
C
but
says
it's
nothing on our
nothing
local
personal.
news,
We're
but
still
white
friends,
vigilante
okay?
updates.
There've been some vigilante stuff. He was 100% acting in self-defense, dude. I couldn't tell from watching it. I have to watch it again on my own time, but somebody was saying, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, or he's going to kill you, or something like that. And I couldn't tell if it was somebody warning the guy that was attacking the protester to stop, or if it was the guy that was attacking the militia guy, or whatever. That whole situation is going to blow up, because there are going to be people that are going to say that he was an awful person and, you know, Nazis are killing people, no matter what
Sunday
happens.
Driver says women will be happier without the vote.
Lucas says, what vid should I be looking, Seth?
I think I can give you a link right here. Hold on a second. Oh, where is it? Is it gone? Is it gone? Twitter might have removed it. Oh, it's going. Well, I'll just give you this link. I was watching this link. I think this is the one that you want. Jeez. I want nothing. I should be involved in this, but I have decided the volatility is too much. I am following what I think I should do. The volatility is too much. We're too late. You're going to have these huge pullbacks against you. I don't want to trade this market. It's okay. Oh, wait. Did it not let me post the link here? Delete. Let's try that one. Will that take you there? Yes. Try that link.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
It sucks when you have a really good winner and then you have to scratch it. I guess every once in a while that's going to happen, and this is a situation that it will, but this is insane. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so now we are pushing yesterday's close 3062. Today's video is going to be the most insane reversal ever.
Chopsticks 7 Life says Rip S&P Holy.
It's freaking
Vincenzo
nuts,
C says
right?
yesterday someone else's bank ATM was also empty. Curioser and Curioser.
That's weird, but I haven't seen any other reports of that. But thank you for reporting that. This is That came down so fast too. Oh, did we just run out of requests? No, we didn't. Lucas says it's so confusing who fired the shots. No, it was the guy. It was the guy. So I think now that I've watched it, that I'm okay to show it to you guys here on stream. So, I can pull it up here on Twitter. Okay, here it is. All right. So they're attacking this guy. Let me get it for a second. Okay. So this guy in the blue shirt is being attacked by an Antifa because he's black in a head. So I think it's safe to say that he's Antifa. Okay. So blue guy runs. Blue guy runs away. Now look at his left hand. Well, sorry, I guess it's his right hand. You see that? He's holding something. Maybe a gun. I don't know. Okay. He's like, it's okay. It's okay. Get the fuck away from me. And then they come after him again. They come after him again. So here's where I'm going to turn the sound on for you.
Dude, you guys! He's gonna fucking kill you! No! He's gonna fucking kill you!
So what is that guy saying? He's going to fucking kill you? That's what it sounds like. He's going to
Fucking kill you! Dude, you guys! He's gonna fucking kill you! No! He's gonna fucking kill you!
He's going to fucking kill you. Sounded like it was somebody close to the camera, but not in the fight.
Dude, you guys! He's gonna fucking kill you! No! He's gonna fucking kill you!
Okay. Boom, boom. There's the gun right there. You see it? The blue shirt had a gun. And he shoots the man that was beating him with a skateboard. 100% self-defense. Hey Ace, how's it going? Dude, so how did you play this? I'm interested to see how you play this. Cuz I had a long, and it was a great long, and it was going, and I was waiting for them to bust the highs and for all the stops to come in, and then before I knew it, they came down and took me out, and I went out at break even. I'm getting so you can't beat a cop with it. It's getting so you can't. No, he wasn't a cop. Did you see? He was just another. So there was protesters trying to take down a statue, and there was other protesters trying to defend the statue, and they started attacking one of those counter protesters, and so then the counter protester pulled out his gun and defended himself. That's justified. Sorry, I hit with a skateboard to the head represents a risk of death. 100%. It was 100% justified. It was 100%. Well, you know what? Luckily, the guy didn't die. Okay. But it was 100% self-defense. Yeah. I have had my ass handed to me a couple of times with 40 people. So you know what? I did some dumb things. I'm not sure that I would have done them if I was on sim. I feel bad. Just because I feel bad when I feel like that my behavior is different from what it should be on sim. That's why I stopped. I took it and I was campaigning it. So I had made so much on the upside. It was actually almost 150, 200 at one point. And then it came back, and so I said, okay, I'm going to let it come back and take it and on the pullback because I was so confident on it going up. The pullback was so much deeper than I expected. It's fine. Came in, the open, selling, saw bottom, bought that one up, campaigned it a little bit, made some more. So I had like tons of room to let it run, and my stop was way down at like, way below the low of the day. So I'm like, okay, let's just, I just put my stop or break even and just let it go because they're probably going to range back in this area for a long time. And then maybe later in the day, like after Europe closes or something, they'll bust the high, right? And then this news about coronavirus hit and the market really responded to it. And I got out. And at that point, I'm like, well, probably shouldn't play it. I caught some of this last down. It offered 40 points just a bit ago. I caught that in front of the room and then closed it down. Wow. It's a pretty insane move, right? Oh, Gary never got your email. So I posted it, but nobody's seen or reacting to it. Anyways, it's Ace Trades 5 and it's at Gmail. You can post because you're an admin, you can post links and emails and stuff. I was literally down over $1,000, and at the end of that long short, I was up 25. Oh, what? Really? Dude. Wow. Wait, so were you trying to short it? The ones that you lost money on, were they longs or shorts? And the go-to, you know what, I've had. Yeah, because you're an admin, you can post links now. That's why we gave them to you. You know what, Lucas? You've been around for such a fucking long time, dude. And I love you so much. You can have it too. Now you can post links. It was a mixture of both. Well, today's action was weird, right? It was really let's go back. Let's go take a stroll down memory lane to 20 minutes ago. Okay. This was crazy. All of this was crazy. Because you get this big down and then it comes right back up. So maybe if you catch here, yeah, it's just so messy. Look at how many of these bars you get. And all of this is messy. Here. Look, big tails here. Big tails. Like every single one of those is like a swing of 5 points. That's wild. And we should put all of this in the context of, guess what? Yesterday VIX came down like significantly. So now that my trading view is showing me the numbers, how much did the VIX pop back up? Only back into yesterday's volatility? Really? Well, that's interesting. Wow, when can I get admin access? When you've been around for about a year, all of these guys have been sitting in chat for over a year. It's been over a year. Ace came around. It's been over a year now. It was like last March or May or something like that, right? Every time the Fed says or mentions challenges on long-term unemployment, the market takes a crap. What's ZQ like? I don't know. I've never been on that one. Yeah, it's been at least a year. And I still haven't. He lives close to me, but we haven't been able to meet up because, the end of the last year was busy, and then there's the coronavirus stuff. And I suppose there's this window where it would be somewhat socially acceptable to meet up, but it's still kind of questionable right now, huh? I would say Saturday, but I've got plans. We're building a chicken coop. So unless you want to build a chicken coop. Yeah. Corona. It's been 6 months since Corona's been a thing. We will meet up. I've got to be careful, family, with me. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's a big up move. Fed's pal, question of longer term U.S. debt issue is treasuries. Whoa, what? So that was a really strong up move, and I don't know if it was driven by news or what. I will stress markets are bought on bad news and sold on good news. Play the range, and SPX shutting down a few schools in Beijing won't change the Fed policy and balance sheet expansion. This is just too much. When markets move incredibly volatile, moves become incredibly volatile, that is usually signs to me of a bottom. But I've never seen this at a top. Huh. Brannigan Barrett was saying earlier, so I tweeted to him, but I guess it get ignored. I get it. It's cool. No hard feelings, Bran. But he said, here's an objective thought to mull over. The risk markets topped and sold off aggressively on a very dovish Fed FOMC, but then got bought up aggressively on very negative coronavirus second wave fears. False. They bought up on news of infrastructure improvements, Fed buying bonds, which we kind of knew, but it was a headline that moved people, right? But there were reasons for us to move up. Then we move up, and coronavirus came in, and coronavirus moved us down again. Now, Brannigan is saying, I will stress markets are bought on bad news and sold on good news. Play the range in the SPX between 3,100 and 3,250. Shutting down a few schools in Beijing won't change the Fed policy and balance sheet expansion. I don't know if that's a good take, dude. But I don't really know what's going to happen, so So I kind of responded. I responded to him, but I don't think he's going to reply, and nobody liked it or anything. So whatever. Whatever. We just need to go Brokeback Mountain. We get together though. It's gonna be like two lovers in a sunflower field holding hands, spinning. I'll be sure to plant some sunflowers now so that we can do a photo shoot. I think Powell's words on fiscal debt about Treasury issuance. Generally speaking, the markets are 80% long. They look for excuses to sell off or take profits. Yeah, totally. Volume profile is a mess. On my DOM, I can't read it. No. I mean, there's definitely was a distribution up there at the top, but that distribution wasn't that big. Like they totally could have busted higher. Totally could have busted higher. I don't know, guys. Now, the way that it pulled back is really interesting, too, because they seem to be suggesting that there's like some positive news now pushing us up. But I don't see it. U.S. and Canada agree to keep border closed for an extra 30 days. Forex Live tweets. I wonder why Canada wants to keep it closed. Oops, I closed the wrong window. Fed says want to get back to tight labor market. You know how long that will take? 3 to 5 years to get under 5%, which is Fed's full employment metric. Oh, I bet you longer than that, Gary. Longer than 5 years. Yeah, I think so. If we continue to have deflation, and here's the problem. This is the same thing that happened last time around, right? We had the crisis, okay, 2008, and then what? 2 years later, Euro crisis, right? And all along that, many times. So things that normally could have been financial crises, but because we were pumping money and everything else like that, we got through it. I don't think everybody seems to think there was that's a financial crisis and everything has been hunky-dory since. No, we have faced so many unprecedented crises like that. Yeah. Anyways, so I think this is likely to happen again. I think that if we get past this thing, that a few years from now, there's going to be some other crisis that, is going to be a unintended consequence of what we've been doing. You know what I mean? Like that, these companies are zombie companies and that's a problem, or some societal unrest in another country, or maybe the North Korea thing blows up 6 months from now. You know what I mean? We had chickens when growing up. The roosters are bad. They won't let us have roosters, unfortunately. You know what? They smell like chicken, kind of. You can kind of smell the chickeny smell on them. It's kind of gross. I haven't found a good solution for all the poop yet. With deflation and stagnation, it's going to be hard to incentivize employers to take on additional labor risk. Labor is always a risk to the balance sheet. 100%. It's going to take a long time. What's Anthony Cridelli saying here? All traders can find winners, but why do few make money over time? A major reason for me was not embracing the mindset to keep losses smaller than my winners. We have trouble accepting a basic aspect of trading. We're wrong half the time. Don't overcomplicate the basics in making money. Wait, what? The way that he said that was confusing. Is he saying that his stops are larger than his winners? Is that what he's saying? His losers are bigger than his winners? But then that kind of contradicts with what he's saying in the second segment. I think you kind of you should rephrase that, Anthony. I still suspect that he watches from time to time. If you're there, Anthony, rephrase that. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, well, they're recovering pretty good. Pretty good. You know what's going to be funny is if they well, will it be funny? I don't know if I can call anything funny anymore, but what happens if they bust out the top here? Huh? Now, what if they make a new regular session high? Wouldn't that be something? No. Wouldn't that be something? Oof. Deflation short term, long term breathtaking inflation. USD's days as a reserve are numbered. Now, I don't think so. I think that we've made a fundamental misunderstanding about how this low interest rate thing works. With interest rates so low, people have to save more, so they can't consume as much. So what's going to end up happening is we'll end up with an incredibly efficient but depressed economy, which isn't a good thing, right? Basically, what's going to happen? You invest all of this money in there. Companies have a reason to be risk adverse, so we get like slow growth, right? We'll continue to have slow growth. People will have to put more money into the indexes. So trading will be great. Trading will probably be great, but investing won't. Investing will probably be slow, right? And people will just have to save more and more of it. It's deflationary the way that it works. And there's no real way out of it that we know of. Like, it's never worked out for Japan, right? So we just have to hope that everything goes okay the next 5 years and that the Fed pulls it off. I at this point, I don't really know if we have any other choice. I agree with your premise. Many around the world are sick of U.S. hegemony. Will it kick off the USD? I don't know about that one. It seems like it at some points, but when push comes to shove, U.S. Post rules allowing U.S. companies to work with Huawei on standards. Cool. The latest figures show savings rates climbed, but when they drop to about 4%, consumption will grow and the markets will filter up. Yeah, that's what we need. See, I'm a little concerned about when we're putting all of the money into the markets. That's a good thing. Like, the more money that we have in the markets, the better, sure. But you need to have it backed up by demand for goods too. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to make all of these efficiency increases, but you're not actually going to have anybody buying the product. You know what I mean? That seems to me like a really weird problem. Do you eventually end up into this problem that futurists are worried about, where everything becomes so efficient that they don't need to hire anybody, and then like everybody's out of work and only the super rich make money? Like, that's kind of where I foresee this going. The hyperinflation scenario, I don't think that works. I think that interest rates would have to be much higher for hyperinflation to start to become a thing. Saudi oil exports to U.S. points towards the lowest level in 35 years. Conservatives urge Trump and McConnell to halt spending on coronavirus relief. Fed's pal, the Fed pretty much decided that negative rates are not attractive for the U.S. Cool. We are one decent president away from turning things around. I don't know. I don't think that Trump was doing too terrible of a job. In fact, I don't really think that there's necessarily anything in his direct policies, at least, that's been bad for this pandemic. I kind of sit and wonder, like, what do we really think should happen? Should we really allow the economy to just hit rock bottom? Because I already feel like that the depth of the pandemic that we've had was pretty bad. But I kind of wonder if they've put too much money into the system. I think they should be putting money into it and have a flat period and then it comes up, you know? Mm-mm. They kept saying red states that rushed to reopen would see a spike in COVID-19 cases. And as usual, they were completely right. Paul Krugman saying, liberals were right. But, like, did anybody really think that there wouldn't be a spike in COVID-19 cases after closing? I think that maybe a couple of stupid people that don't follow numbers maybe kind of were premature. They kind of were celebrating prematurely, maybe. Well, it is 9:30. I guess it's time for me to go. I have no clue what is going to happen. This market today is crazy. I know you and a million other people are part of the problem with that thinking. I don't know what the right thing to do is. This is the bigger problem, guys. Our society has been so complex that nobody really knows how to deal with it. And it's probably going to take a lot of trial and error. Last recession, we had unprecedented support from the Federal Reserve in the way that they stepped in, and that seemed to work out okay. So now they're saying, hey, let's just do that, but even stronger. So now we're doing it again. But now what are we learning? We're learning that low interest rates are actually deflationary because they force people to save more. Okay. Well, it's going to take another 50, 100 years before we probably really understand this thing. I think we could have so much more to say, but I think it's just time to go. This market is, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. Thought I had a good trade there. It's okay. Fun day either way. I will see you guys tomorrow, which is going to be fun. Today is fun. Tomorrow's definitely going to be fun. So, in the meantime, stay profitable.